All right, fifth graders, we're going to read Benchmark 1. And before I read Benchmark 1, I'm going to go over the questions on the back. I need you to follow along with me reading the questions. A good name for the folktale is, in the folktale, when are mosquitoes most annoying? The boxes tell about some of the things that happened in the folktale. The prince arrives on the island, then something happens, and then the prince enjoys the soothing sounds of the mosquitoes. So in between those two, which one of these things happened? Number 4, the prince was traveling through the South Pacific in order to. Number 5, the chief compares the mosquitoes to. Number 6, what will most likely happen soon after the prince releases the mosquitoes on his own island? Number 7, in paragraph 1, the best meaning for droves is. So when I'm reading, pay attention for the word droves, so you can go back in there when you're getting ready to answer the question. Droves, D-R-O-V-E-S. Number 8, from the folktale you can tell that. Number 9, which of these is a fact? Number 10, the folktale was probably written to. Number 11, what is the meaning of the phrase string along? String along. So pay attention for two words, droves and string along, to be able to figure out what the word means. Number 12, which of these best summarizes the folktale? Read this folktale from the islands of Fiji. Then answer questions about the folktale. Choose the best answers for number 1 through 12. Long ago, the small Pacific island of Canberra was infested with thousands upon thousands of mosquitoes. The islanders were worn down and weary trying to avoid being bitten by the pesky insect. These were worse in the evening after the sun had gone down. That's when the insects appeared in droves. During the day, the women of the island spent long hours making screens to keep mosquitoes at bay. Now it happened that a prince from the island of Oneida was sailing throughout the South Pacific in search of treasures to bring back to his people. One day he landed on Canberra, where he was welcomed by the chief as an honored guest. After enjoying a great feast, the chief showed the prince to a room where he could sleep for the night. All around the room hung beautiful painted cloth screens. The prince had never seen anything like them before. "Tell me, chief," said the prince, "why do you hang such lovely cloth all about the room?" "That's for the mosquitoes," replied the chief. "Mosquitoes? What are mosquitoes?" asked the prince. The chief was too embarrassed to reveal the truth, especially to a prince. So he said, "Mosquitoes are our little friends of the night. They come out each evening and sing to us to sleep. They are like a tiny chorus." "How nice," said the prince. "We have nothing like mosquitoes on Oneida." The chief laughed. "We happen to have more than we need," he said. The prince yawned and excused himself to retire for the night. Just as he began to fall asleep, the night air filled with the hum and the buzz of the hungry mosquitoes swarming outside the screens. Such a soothing, peaceful sound, the prince muttered, "Mosquitoes are a rare treasure indeed." The next morning the prince approached the chief and asked if he could take some mosquitoes back to Oneida with him. The chief thought for a moment, and then a grin slowly grew across his face. "You would have to take all of them," he replied. "They are a close-knit family and would be heartbroken if they were separated." The chief could hardly keep a straight face as he continued to string along the prince. "But what about your people?" asked the prince. "Wouldn't they be unhappy if I took all of their wonderful mosquitoes?" "Yes, they would," replied the chief. "But if you were to give us something in return, I think my people would be satisfied." "I have a magic conch shell in my canoe," said the prince excitedly. "If you blow into the shell like a trumpet, Fish swim to shore and let themselves be caught. You and your people will never be hungry." "Then it's a deal," said the chief happily. Our mosquitoes for your magic shell." The people of Kambara got to work setting a trap for the mosquitoes. First they used a huge basket woven so tightly that even the tiniest of insects could not escape. Then they placed a wild pig inside the basket. The chief waited behind a nearby tree with the lid. The sun began to set, and as usual, the mosquitoes appeared by thousands searching for their victims. Soon some of the insects found the poor pig, and before long every mosquito on the island was in the basket. The chief jumped out from behind the tree, placed the lid on the basket, and tied it securely with long vines. With the basket in his canoe, the prince sailed back to Oneida. All he could think of was how happy his people would be with the wonderful sound of the mosquitoes. The people of Kambara were also happy. The chief blew on the conch shell, and the islanders began gathering fish for the celebration feast.